So this morning in my meditation, I just want to share some thoughts that came through, which are very much related to what's happening at the moment in the world with Russia, Ukraine, NATO. And it's been very much in my mind for many years that governments are not what we think they are, and they're not actually serving us as we want them to serve us. And this has been becoming much clearer to me over the years. But now that this thing is happening with, we've just come through this time of this pandemic. 10 years or more ago we had 9/11, and then the whole new fear around that, and the war on terrorism, and the attack and war in Iraq, who had nothing to do with the bombing of the Twin Towers, and yet nothing was done about it. NATO never defended Iraq. NATO never stopped America from attacking Iraq because they wanted to attack Iraq, basically out of hatred. And then, the pandemic, and what we can see with our governments, how they behave, how they are imposing more laws, more rules, how they are becoming more totalitarian, how they are trying to restrict freedom. And so all these things are becoming clearer and clearer, I think, for everybody. They're actually seeing that governments don't make sense. And now with this situation with Russia and Ukraine, and from what I am seeing and what I'm reading into it, is that again, the Americans are basically wanting to put their arms, their guns, their war machines, their missiles into Russia's backyard, basically. And America has been fueling a propaganda of hatred towards Russia since before the Second World War. And so, it's kind of quite understandable that Russia would want to protect themselves, because no one would want a neighbour to move in next door who hates them and is bringing all their guns and army with them. And so, in a way, Russia is doing what it has to do. It feels threatened, and it has to protect itself. And once again, NATO is involved in this. It's very much a puppet of America. And so America is very much portraying, or the West is very much portraying, that Russia is the baddie again. And it is the good one. And self is the good one, or America is the good one. And in my meditation this morning, and it's been part of an ongoing revelation, I suppose, is that the mind, there is only one mind, and it cannot be separated apart. We can believe in it being separated, but actually it cannot be separated. And so it cannot be fragmented. We can deny parts of it. We can deny that we are part of that wholeness, and that we share that mind with each other. We can deny that because the mind can do that. The mind is extremely powerful. And we can create a reality for us based on that reality, based on that denial. We can create a world will reveal to us what we believe based on our denial. So if we're asking for illusions to be true, we will witness that. We will see a world that is not true. And so, because the mind is a wholeness, it's a oneness, we can actually look at any part of the mind, and this is true about everything. This is not just true about this war or governments. This is true about ourselves. We can look at any part, and we can judge the whole on that part. So we don't have to see the totality of everything. We can actually look at a part of it and see if it actually makes sense, or if it doesn't make sense, if it's coming from love, or if it's coming from hatred, if it's coming from peace, or if it's coming from war. And by that we can make a very simple judgment whether it's evil or whether it's a thought of God, both being opposed to each other really. Although there is nothing that can oppose God, because God is where the power is, and the illusion is where the weakness is. So the weakness can only ever lose. So we can judge our governments from this space, like we can judge our justice system. The same way, we can look at them. Does this law make sense? Does this rule make sense? Does this imprisonment of, because the government does actually mean to govern the mind, and obviously it's talking about governing the mind of the population. And the government, if you think about the government, it's not a reality, it is a belief system. It's a shared belief system. It's a shared belief it's actually between a small group of people. It's not a shared belief of everybody. And that's why, governments, they really do only serve a small group of people. And usually they are, the wealthy, the more powerful in the society, the ones that are more prone to violence, they're more prone to deception. They don't want to know the truth, they actually want to maintain the illusions, and maintain the wars, and maintain the imbalance. Some have more, some have less. And so we can judge a small part and get an overview of the totality of it, because the mind is a oneness. So our thoughts, our shared thoughts about government are a wholeness. They're not separate. They actually create, the government is a complete thought system. It might be insane, or it might be, might be parts of it that seem to be working for us. But if we judge a small part of it and we look at it honestly, we can actually see where the totality is coming from. And so if there is deception, if there is war, if there is hatred, if there is violence, if there is imprisonment, if there is revenge, any of these things can be clearly seen to be coming from hell, from a hellish state of mind, from a devil, basically, from the devil. But if it's coming from love, if it involves caring, and it involves compassion, and it involves sharing, and it involves freedom, then we can clearly make a judgment that it's actually coming from the mind of a loving creator. And so we choose, what do we want? Do we want to be part of that world, or do we want to be part of this other world? And because only one can be true and one is an illusion, we can't have two truths that are true. Only one can be true. If we believe God is the devil, then we will choose the path of evil. We will choose the path of war, the path of deception, the path of poverty, and the lack of abundance. We will choose a path of hatred. We will choose a path of fear. But if we believe the Creator is a loving Creator, and is created out of love, then if we want to be part of that, then we will basically see ourselves in heaven. One, we're going to see ourselves in hell. And we can clearly look at the world and look at our societies and get a very accurate view of where we're going. But do we want that? Do we want to keep supporting these insane systems? And I'm not talking about the people, because the people in governments, the Prime Minister, the Presidents, all the people in government, are all doing the best they can. They all think they're doing the right thing. Putin, Bush, Biden, Trump, Boris Johnson, whatever, all of them, they all think they're doing the best they can, and they all think they're doing right. So it's not to judge them, it's not to, they're not evil. They might be sharing evil thoughts, they might be confused about who they are, and therefore they're confused about everybody else, but they themselves are still deserve honour, and deserve love, and deserve care. But the systems that we are all collectively embracing and giving our will to, giving our power to, and letting, basically run our lives, to run our minds, to fool us, to deceive us. Those systems are clearly not serving everybody, and therefore they're not fair, they're not just, they contain no justice, and they are, they are creating war, they are created from hatred, from defense, and from attack, and this isn't serving any of us, actually. So it's better that we just stop. The only way to undo a system of belief is just to stop believing it. So stop believing that we need these things. We actually don't need them. They're not serving us, they're working against us. And so it's not to oppose them, because really, if we oppose them, what we're doing, we're opposing the people in them. And that we must be very clear that is not the goal here. We're not to oppose people, because the people deserve all the honour we can give them. They are doing the best they can. They are mistaken, they are misguided, and they're not seeing the totality. That is the only error that they're making. Otherwise, they're doing the best they can, and they truly do believe they're doing good. But if you look, if you look at a small part of what we call government, or the authority, the justice system, and all these kind of things, if you look at a tiny part, we see anywhere there's deception, there's hatred, there's unfairness, there's injustice, anything that's attacking or defending, anything like this, we can actually judge the whole of it. Because the mind is one. There isn't many minds. They cannot all be separated apart, because they're part of the wholeness. And so it's actually used as reason. It's reasonable to say that if I judge this one part truly, that the totality of it is also going to be like that. It's not going to be different. So we can judge our governments quite accurately by looking at what they're doing, looking at how they're thinking, and then deciding, do we actually want to maintain this belief? Do we want to give them our power? Do we want to give them our will? Are we going to maintain these beliefs within ourselves? Are they serving us? Are they bringing us peace? Are they bringing us happiness? Are they bringing us joy? Are they bringing us abundance? Because if they're not, the only way to undo them is to stop believing in them. And we do that within ourselves by basically denying that they have a reality, because they actually don't have a reality. They are a belief system. The government is not a living thing. It's just an accumulation of beliefs, shared beliefs amongst a small group of people. And so it's not serving everybody the same. And this is part of the reason that we're going through this situation, these constant one thing after another, the pandemic, the war, another problem, another war. The reason we keep facing these things is because it's bringing us to come to realize eventually that we are a totality, we are a total, we are a oneness. And once we recognize that we are a oneness together, we'll stop wanting to actually hurt each other. We will actually stop wanting to make wars with each other. We will actually stop wanting to take more for ourselves, and we will want to share evenly. So this thing that's happening at the moment is really part of a much bigger picture to bring humanity into a oneness, a one way of thinking. This is happening at the moment. This is part of our journey at the moment, is to see the totality of the mind, the totality of the human race. We're not all living separate lives. We are actually part of one organism, on one planet, in a vast universe. We're not all different. We have the same bodies, the same everything, the same minds. The the only way we're going to bring peace and abundance into the world again is through the recognition of this. And the other thing that's happening is it's also related. This is like the thing that's happening in Canada, where now that government of Canada is basically trying to, or is it passed laws that can, anyone that opposes it, they can take away their money, take away their homes, take away their children, control their bank accounts, do everything. So this kind of thinking, this totalitarian thinking, that is not part of freedom. It's not the meaning of who we are. We are created free. Even God has not, imposed its will, His will upon us. We are given free choice to make mistakes. We're given free choice to do whatever, think whatever. But when we have these governments that are really no different than the kings of the past or the queens of the past, who really, as much as they thought they were doing good, they were actually just people that were more willing to hurt and do harm in the way of protecting themselves, taking more for themselves because they thought they were better than other people. They thought they were more important, they had more value. They wanted to protect their value through armies and through police forces and things like this. And our governments are really not that different from that. They are an elitist belief system. They follow, they make their own laws, they make their own rules. They do not do, they're not doing things for the best of everybody. They're creating systems that are really just working for the best for a few at the expense of everyone else. So this what's happening at the moment is part of it is an awakening. When we see that we actually don't want what they offer, we can free ourselves from the tyranny that they impose. They're imposing on humanity, and it is a tyranny. It's a violent tyranny. It's oppression. It's an imprisonment. It's a lack of freedom, loss of freedom. It's leading us deeper and deeper into more confusion, into more hellish states of being. And if you look at nature, and you look at how nature is, and how beautiful, peaceful, tranquil, there's none of those problems in nature. There's none of those wars going on, those battles. There's no disharmony going on there. And so the thinking of mankind has become very, very destructive, very evil. And it's leading us into, just experiencing ourselves in states of hellishness and suffering, and depression, and anxiety and stress. And the way we're trying to get out of this is by becoming busy, becoming busy, trying to save ourselves, make more money, make more of this, make more of that. Just ignore what's happening, try and turn away from what's happening, try and pretend it's not happening, pretend they're not doing it to us, or we're not doing it to ourselves, and just get busy, just get busy, keep repeating the same busyness over and over again, get another job, make more money, get another partner, buy another car, buy another house, buy another handbag, and do another course, get another degree. And so it's like a repetitive behaviour that is quite destructive for us. It's keeping us in ignorance. We're actually choosing to remain in ignorance, and we're fearing that the truth of who we are is actually far more beautiful and far more incredible than the illusion that we are trying to maintain and we're trying to hold on to. And this is what's happening at the moment in the world with humanity. We're actually getting another opportunity um, to face our thoughts, really, and make another choice, choose again.